Here's our witness.
Your Honor, if I may, we have a matter of law.
Okay.
Judge, we had previously filed a motion to suppress and/or limit the video for the reasons stated in the motion. In particular, we believe the video is violative of Rule 403 because it is less, it's substantially more prejudicial than probative.
You mean the video that was just introduced into evidence without objection?
Correct, Your Honor, but we also had some limiting instructions that we would like to get from the court on that.
What is that?
Your Honor, two things. One is that we would ask that the jury be instructed that the proper perspective for which to view use of force incidents is the perspective of the officer, and that a bystander's perspective is not the relevant view of the officer. The Supreme Court, South Carolina has adopted Tennessee v. Garner as a standard for the use of force by an officer, and Tennessee v. Garner has been articulated.
Are you referring to jury instructions at the end of the case?
No, Your Honor, we believe that the jury needs to be reminded before they see the video that the proper perspective that they should view is the perspective of the officer. Because the Fourth Circuit has said that they must view the facts from the perspective of the officer. In a rapidly evolving scenario, a witness's account of the event will rarely, if ever, coincide perfectly with the officer's perceptions, because the witness is viewing the event from a different angle. We just think that's a limiting instruction that should be given when the video is shown, so that they don't, that we don't wait till the end of the trial and then they all of a sudden they say, wait a minute, we're looking at this from the wrong angle, Judge. One more thing, Judge, slow motion. We would ask that the any acts on the video, in other words, any actions by anyone on the video, be shown in real time and not in slow motion. Slow motion has been shown to increase the perception of the jury as to the intentional act. So as you slow the video down, the juries perceive that the act is more intentional than it was, up to 4 times, according to a study by the University of Chicago. So what we would ask is, if there is an action being shown, that the action that it be shown in real time and not slowed down. We've been provided indications that there's some portions of this video to be shown at 50% speed, 25% speed, 10% speed, and that tends to create the perception for the jury that things happened at a different time than they did. And the studies have shown that even though juries know that something is being shown in slow motion, they cannot correct in their minds, and they perceive more intentionality. Particularly in a case like this, when it happened over a very short period of time, we think it's highly prejudicial to Mr. Slager to have the video shown in slow motion. We would request that the video be played in its entirety and at full speed whenever it's played, particularly the acts of anyone who is acting with intention. In other words, any human that's doing a movement that is alleged to be an intentional movement, we think it ought to be played in real time.
Yeah, thank you. Set the state.
I think, Your Honor, as to the first grounds raised by Mr. Hume, I think what the defense is doing here is kind of trying to bootstrap an element of substantive law and make it an evidentiary, a matter of evidentiary law. What the charge is, and we agree with the defense that South Carolina has adopted Tennessee versus Garner and Graham versus Garner, but what the charge on the law that Your Honor properly stated is to be given as part of the charge, and that is how the jury is supposed to interpret all of what they hear and interpret all of the evidence they have in this case. It isn't an evidentiary point of law that video evidence must be from the point of view of an officer. That's never been interpreted that way or applied that way. And we think it would be improper to give that sort of evidentiary charge in the middle of trial. As to the second point of law in slow motion can be, as illuminating as it can be misleading. And again, that's a classic weight versus admissibility standard. I want to point, Your Honor, while there's no South Carolina law on point, there's a wonderful case, U.S. v. Plato in the Seventh Circuit, where they make that point.
What makes it wonderful?
Well, they make the point that once evidence is admitted, as this video has been, it is generally, again, we put it on the table and it goes back to the jury room. And just as a jury could pick up any item of evidence, photograph, and scrutinize one portion of that photograph once it's admitted it into evidence, so can they do that with video evidence. And, I'm familiar with the studies, but I disagree with Mr. McCune that it is outside of the understanding of the jury that, what slow motion is. I believe all 12 jurors understand when something's being shown in slow motion. And it further reduces the prejudicial effect of that when they see a piece of evidence in real time and slow motion. This isn't a situation where the state is attempting to show them something just in slow motion and hold that out to them to be the true and accurate speed of the video. They're going to see these events in real time. Yes, they're going to see them at a portion of this trial. I would note that we're really not at that point yet, but at some point in the trial, we are going to attempt to admit some slow motion footage, and I believe the defense honestly has some of that they like to highlight as well. Various states have taken up this issue of slow motion video before and ruled in a manner that the state is seeking to ask you to do today. Your Honor, if you're interested in State versus Dale, it's a Supreme Court case in Kansas in 293, Kansas 660. The Commonwealth versus Cash in Pennsylvania. For some reason, Pennsylvania, this has come up several times. And Commonwealth versus Cash cites several instances. To my knowledge, in all of these instances, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania has ruled that the slow motion, in the context where they saw the real time and the slow motion was properly admitted.
Do you plan to attempt to use slow motion at this time with this witness?
No, Your Honor. There's time for you to take a look at these cases. The Commonwealth versus Cash is 137, Atlantic 3rd, 1262. Just in the U.S. v. Plato case, where the Seventh Circuit really did not seem to struggle with that at all. I'd also point you to the site, if you're taking it down, 513 Federal Appendix, that's Fed APPX 882, which sort of gives, I think, the longest, that is a circuit court case, the 11th Circuit, pretty recent, 2011, gives sort of the longest legal breakdown of this issue. It talks about how exclusion on grounds like this is an extraordinary remedy which should only be invoked sparingly, and the balance should be struck in favor of the admissibility. And it reminds the court that, to Mr. McCune's point, that the standard here is not prejudicial. Any relevant evidence is prejudicial, but unfairly prejudicial. And presenting evidence in a way that maybe slows things down so people can see it more clearly is not unfairly prejudicial to the parties. Thank you.
And Judge, just briefly, if I may.
Briefly.
Thank you. Judge, once again, to the first point, the perspective of the officer is very important. Witness observations cannot effectively impact the credibility of the officer's testimony as to his perceptions of what he saw from an entirely different and closer vantage point. Sigmund v. Town of Chapel Hill, that's 161 F 3rd 782. We just think that's a very important point. Finally, as to the slow motion, Your Honor, we're not trying to have anything excluded. What we're trying to do is get the jury to view the situation in the same light that the officer viewed the situation, because police officers are often forced to make split-second judgments in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving. That's Graham v. Connor. And facts should be considered from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene and avoiding the officer's conduct with a 20/20 vision of hindsight. We think that putting this in slow motion invites the jury to sit in the armchair of 20/20 hindsight. We think slow motion is extraordinarily
What
prejudicial.
else do juries do other than review evidence in hindsight?
Your Honor, the 20/20 hindsight is, the jurors are supposed to view this from the perspective of an officer on the scene when the event occurred. To the extent that we slow it down, we invite the exact error that Graham v. Connor seeks to eliminate, and for that reason, we would request that the video not be shown in slow motion.
Jurors are asked to analyze and to evaluate evidence and determine which evidence convinces them of its truth. The role of the jury is to view the evidence. The role of the state is to present the evidence. The role of the defense is to challenge the state's evidence. I don't seek to control the manner in which the state presents its evidence. They have the burden of proof of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. I am not going to attempt to control the manner in which the state presents relevant evidence. These exhibits have been admitted without objection. Both motions are denied. Bring the jury. I have water. Good. I'll back down. You may proceed.
Your Honor, at this point, I believe everyone has headphones, and we would ask that they be turned on, and that we publish State's Exhibit 237, which is the flash drive that was introduced.
Oh shit. Fucking abuse. Fucking abuse, man.
See my car next to Gerald's. We're behind the pawn shop.
Serious job.
Play the first few seconds up until the shooting. Again, I know some of the jurors will get their volume straight. And Mr. Santana, before we do that, at the very beginning of the video, there's a white string-looking thing. What was that we can see on the monitor now?
That was the headphone,
The
headphone
earphone?
straps, yes.
Okay. And at the very beginning of the video, you described in your testimony hearing the electricity sound.
Correct.
Is that captured on the video?
Yes,
Okay. But it's at the very beginning, correct?
yes.
Now, Mr. Santana, as you can see in the frame that's captured there, there's a tree there.
Correct.
Okay. Was that tree obstructed part of your filming?
Of the film, yes.
Excuse me?
Of the video, yes.
Okay.
Obstruct that, yeah.
Okay. Was your view of what was going on obstructed?
No,
Okay. At any point, did you see Walter Scott coming at Officer Slager with the taser?
I never saw that.
And this video, you stopped, I believe you testified there was a pause, and then you started recording again. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, we request permission to play the second video, which is also on 237. Faden, after you stopped recording, what did you do then?
After I stopped recording the second video, I went to approach. There was a fence, but I tried to talk to the officers, or an officer that was there, and I said to him that I witnessed everything and that I videotaped it. He said to me to stay there, but I didn't thought that was the correct decision to stay there.
Well, why didn't you think that was the correct decision?
I'm a person that let myself run by my feelings. And at that time, I didn't feel that I was supposed to stay there, and just show them whatever I captured. But I didn't know I captured the video. So I didn't thought, that would be the correct way.
Do you know if, before you engaged the officers and said, first of all, who did you tell that you had videoed it? Do you remember which officer?
It was a white guy, bald,
A bald guy?
yes.
Okay. Before talking to the bald guy, and I believe you testified, you talked to the black officer and asked if the man was okay.
Correct.
Before those two interactions, do you know if you were seen by Officer Slager?
Yes. Yes.
The witness can testify as his perception. I overrule the objection.
Yes. I definitely saw him looking at me, at my presence there. He knows that I was there.
And when you finished videoing, where did you go?
There was a few clients that there were clients of mine in the barbershop, and they were standing in a Spanish grocery store, a Spanish store, Mexican store, and
Was that near where the shooting was?
yes, it's very close from there. It's just feet away from there.
Were they in a position to see what you saw? Were they in a position to see the shooting?
No.
Was anybody out there that you saw?
There was nobody there. After the shooting and after everything happened, it started getting a little bit, because there are many offices there, and people started coming. But it's just an alley that I was staying, and the business are over there. Nobody was there in that side.
So when you got to the Mexican grocery store,
Yes.
what'd you do there?
Well, I went over there to the Mexican store, and the owner of the place, I tell him that she was with a few people, and we had spoken. I say, hey man, that was, this guy did this, so an abuse, and I think I videotaped it, but I didn't know. So that was the first time we saw the video. Then I look at the phone, show them the video, and we were just, very surprised that was caught in, the same way it happens. And the first thing they say to me is to be careful, to be careful. But I didn't thought it that way, because I thought that Walter Scott was alive, still alive. So they say to give him to try to send the video to their cell phone. But I didn't thought that was a good idea.
So the people at the store, some of them wanted you to email or text the video?
Yes, like to send the video over there, but I didn't thought that was a good idea. So I left. I left over there to the store.
And you left the store and went where? Where did you go from the store?
I headed to Rivers Avenue to go to the barbershop.
And what happened at the barber shop when you got there?
when I got to the barbershop, they were mad at me because they were waiting. I was late. And I say to them, that I will explain later what happened. So I opened the door and just decided to finish with the clientele that was there. And I showed the video to them,
To who?
to a barber over there, a lady that was there. And, yeah,
And did you decide to go to the police right then?
no, ma'am. No.
Why not?
Like I said, I didn't thought that was not in my feelings to go to the police. I thought, that Walter Scott was alive, still alive. For some reason, I thought that,
And if he were alive, why would that matter, and whether or not you would turn this video over to the police?
let me explain first. When I came from the Dominican Republic on April 3rd to Charleston, I came to work and retire to my country in maybe months. I want to be with my family. I've been away from my family a long time. So before all this happened, when all this happened, I was in shock because,
You were what?
in shock because
shock, okay.
because I didn't know what was going to do. I know that I already was a person that will be involved in something that happened with in this case, So I was trying just to avoid to be part of it. So then my hope was that as Walter Scott was alive, he would be the one who can say whatever it happens. That it wouldn't be necessary my presence, or maybe the video, But that was something that I didn't have it clear at the moment. It was everything, many things together that I couldn't even think.
Did any of your clients come in that morning that you trusted more than others?
Yes,
And what client was that?
that was Weems. His name is Weems, but I call it Williams.
Okay.
And
And is he about your same age?
no, man, he's 40-something, 40 years, yeah.
And what kind of job does this man Williams have?
He's a sub-principal from high school, Stall High School.
Did you talk to Williams or Weems about the video?
When he got there, I saw him as he's been a person that, like I said, being away from my family, he's a person that I consider, let's say, my dad. So getting him in the barbershop, I just saw a relief that I needed to express to him what happened.
Did you call him to come to the barbershop?
No.
Or he just happened?
No, he just, we have months, without seeing each other. He just showed up over there. And I decided to spoke with him about what I saw.
And explain to the jury what you did with Weems.
Yes, William, when he got there, the first thing he said, hey, what happened on Remount Road? There's a lot of officer patrol cars and everything, police cars. And they say, that's what I want to talk to you about. And I say, I was there and I got this video. So I show him the video, and as soon as he saw it, he was shocked. He was shocked and say, hey, man, you.
Just a moment, sir.
It's not offered for the truth, Your Honor.
The objection's overruled.
You can continue on.
Right? So I show him the video, and he just say, that he's in shock, that that's something, horrific that he saw.
During that conversation, did you decide to come forward at that point with your video?
No.
What were you waiting on?
I talked to him.
Were you waiting
And
on money?
no,
Trying to get money?
no money. I spoke with him, with Williams. Williams said to me that what was gonna happen with the video, what was gonna do. Say, I don't want to be involved in this.
He said that, or you said?
No, I say that, and he also, he didn't want to get involved. But we didn't know what if Walter Scott was alive. That's when everything changed. So I say, try to give it to the media or something.
And get some money for it.
Exactly. So let's say if he wants, he calls some person that he knows, and he went and do that, and he said, well, I contact a person, and he say, email it to them. I say, but why, for free? Because my intention was just to leave. But at the same time, I thought, like I say, Walter Scott was alive. Now comes the news.
You started
He's
seeing
doing-
the news?
No, he has started, doing all the things, let's say, to contact the media, and see, let's say, what they will offer for the video. But then comes the news, and I think he was the one who watched it. I was working in the barbershop, and he said that Walter Scott was dead. That's when everything stopped for me, because, I wasn't expecting that.
And so, through the news or through Williams, you learned that Walter Scott wasn't going to be telling the story.
Correct.
Did you know at that point, we're still on Saturday afternoon, then Saturday night, did you know what the official story was or the police story was?
I didn't know at the moment. I was working in the barbershop. When I was in the barbershop and he said to me that Walter Scott was dead, I was trying to look for information, for news. That day we have many clients, but at the same time wanted to make the money. I just came from being with my family, didn't have any money, and just stopped to make sure, to confirm if that was truth, what he said. When that happened, everything, let's say that we thought, let's say, to give it to the media or whatever, we stopped. Well, I stopped. So I decided to send 2 copies of the video because I feel that I was not safe with that information.
You didn't want to be the only one with it.
Yes, so I sent 2 copies of the video, one to my wife and one to a friend,
Okay.
and I text them. I text the one, my friend. I say, look, this happened, don't ask me, and if anything happens, if a person called Williams asks you to give you that video, give it to them. So, because like I say, it was so many things going on at the same time that I didn't know what was going on. So my intention is to look for people that can get to the family, that I just want to, like I said, I didn't know. I thought about even erasing the video. I didn't want to be involved, but at the same time, my moral and my values didn't allow me to do that because it was an injustice what I saw, and just couldn't just erase the video, and just leave.
So after you confirmed through the internet, I guess, that Walter Scott had died, getting the video to the media was not your goal.
No, no,
Your goal was to get the video to whom?
to the family. To the family,
you know this family?
but I didn't know the family. I didn't know the community. My only routine was from home to my job. Home to my job 7 days a week.
At any point on that Saturday night, did you learn what the police story was from the police department?
Yes. The first thing that I saw, like I said, I wasn't familiar with any news channel, any newspaper, nothing, is that it was in self-defense. Being a Spanish speaker, self-defense is the same for me, in Spanish and English. And that really wasn't something that didn't happen there. I didn't saw it that way, and I tried to look for the family, to look for community leaders, anybody who saw a different perspective about the story that they was saying. I tried to contact them
Okay, how? What are you using?
through social media.
Okay. And when you texted this video to your friend and your wife or girlfriend in Dominican, did you just text it regular or did you use an app?
I used an app. It was called WhatsApp. It's called WhatsApp.
And that's free texting,
Correct. Yes.
international?
Yes.